Ferrari is one of the most interesting teams on the first day of practice testing, and after looking at how well the car did, we can say for sure that they are hiding how fast the SF-25 really is, with Hamilton being the quickest in the first part of the track in the morning, even though he had trouble at turn 4, and with Leclerc doing even better lap times. What should we expect from Ferrari in the next 2 days, and more importantly, did the team already start hiding their real speed there? Is no question Ferrari is definitely one of the most exciting teams on the track on the first day of practice testing, not just because they have the number 44 driving in red for the first time ever, but because of many things that show they might be hiding their speed. Hamilton was the 5th fastest driver on track in the morning session, and even though these times don't matter much because the first day is more about finding the right car setup and seeing if the car works like what the team has been working on for months, there are still some things that cannot be hidden from everyone. Watching for starters, a very good sign is Hamilton's big smiles and happiness after his first 70 laps with the SF-25. The British driver managed to do his best time of 1 minute 31.834 seconds, and while he was 0.4 of a second slower than Antonelli, who was fastest in the morning, Hamilton looked super happy in the paddock, something that, for example, cannot be said for Lawson, who had a hard time getting used to the RB21 car. The smiles would make sense if everything went perfectly for Hamilton, and it's worth saying that in turns 4 and 11 he had quite a tough time finding the right balance of the car in turn 4. That could be because of the strong winds that have been a problem in this part of the track, and before you say that every driver had the same problems to deal with, we have one thing that suggests that Hamilton might have had it a bit harder compared to everyone else. Lewis is the only driver on track to have a brand new engine in the morning session, which means that understanding and getting used to the power delivery when exiting corners is definitely a process that he needs to learn much better. Of course, Leclerc didn't act the same way, which might suggest it's just what the driver prefers and a weakness in the first place. But other than that, the 7-time world champion looked like he was having some trouble with the back end of the car, which is nothing new for him. In Mercedes, he had the same problems, but wasn't leaving the car full of smiles and hinting that a lot of good things are coming for the team in the next period. This has been proven even more by one of the fastest laps that Leclerc set in the afternoon session. Right after the power outage caused a red flag to stop the session, the back end of the car performed very well, which could be because of some advice that Hamilton gave to the team, and if you were to look at how Leclerc was driving, you could say that the car was loaded with extra fuel. This means that the team was probably doing race speed practice, but with a bit more fuel than usual, to see how the car would react to the extra weight and whether the balance would be affected by it in the early parts of the race. And even with this plan, the SF-25 was still at the front and very competitive with both of its drivers, even though there is still a lot to be seen from the other teams as well. Again, we don't want to get too excited and say that Ferrari is holding back a second or two in speed, but we are looking at certain ways the car and drivers act. And we can't help but notice that the speed of the SF-25 will get better in the next couple of days, as we talked about in previous videos. The feedback from the drivers will matter the most, and the fact that Leclerc was much better in overall performance shows that Hamilton's words could have been used right away, which is a winning recipe for the team championship. Of course, it was expected that Ferrari will be one of the teams to hide as much speed as they can because they have set the goal along with McLaren. And if you show too much on your first day, then you could easily find yourself in trouble. But we have managed to find several parts of the car that are showing how much the car can get better in the next period. One of these parts is the corner entrance, something we've seen the SF-25 do very well and aggressively in Fiorano and have succeeded in doing the same in Bahrain as well. An interesting thing is that the SF-25, although looking very good in the corner entrance and the amount of speed they carry through, it still struggles with the balance to a greater extent. It's the same problem but the MCL-39 is having as well as we talk, and the mid-corner slowness of the car is definitely something whose appearance we can blame on the fuel load and the back-end performance of the car, but there is one very common thing that helped Leclerc's performance a lot more compared to Hamilton's: the rubber laid on the road surface, with more rubber being laid on the track. The balance of the car tends to shift more towards the back rather than the front, which is why the Monaco driver might not have had as many problems as Hamilton did. In this area, there is no doubt that the team is hiding something up their sleeves because you don't want to show your cards in the first couple of hours of testing. You want to learn as much as you can without showing a lot. Therefore, the next 2 days will be very important to see how the SF-25 will get better in certain areas, and one of those is the side pods, which have been carefully studied by the F1 experts. Ferrari have worked on this part of the car a lot, as they have added a horizontal wing-like surface right above the side pods, leading to the interference effect of design. Unlike the F175 and the A version of the SF-23, this has a goal to increase the pressure at the front and suction to the back, with the area around the curve under the shell logo likely to change in the following 2 days of practice testing. What will most likely happen here is that the airflow should increase and speed up under the influence of both the bottom and side undercut surfaces, which should result in increasing the local suction peak due to the positive interference of the carbon of the surfaces are forward facing the suction. Peak means that Ferrari is creating a significant amount of thrust in the local area that we just talked about. This has been used by many teams on the grid as they've tried to use it for overall drag reduction. When the execution was managed to be brought to perfection, if you look at the Vista Jet logo area, there is definitely room for improvement, and it's likely one of the areas that will get upgrades in the first package that Ferrari talked about. This is yet another sign that Ferrari is hiding speed in Bahrain, which is not something that should surprise us because they are extremely good at it, and they are doing it with the only purpose of protecting themselves against the hungry sharks in McLaren and Red Bull, as well as Mercedes, even though Hamilton has been struggling with the balance of the car and has been 0.4 of a second slower than the man who took his seat in Mercedes. He has been seen very happy after the first morning session with Ferrari. I really doubt this would happen if he wasn't happy with how the car behaved, and this has been talked about by the Sky F1 commentators like Alex Brundle, the son of Martin. When talking about it, he said, "Hamilton looks energized. He's looked energized all the way through the off-season. He's been off already. At turn 11, he's got a bit of a tailwind on his way in here, and he's routinely slightly wide of the apex at turn 11. He looks nice and stable through the exit. Just a little bit of understeer, it looks like, in that Ferrari at the moment for Hamilton. That's what caught him out a few laps ago. He went over the outside curb and carried on, just getting a bit of a feel for the car, potentially a bit of wind behind it, and a little bit wide for Hamilton could be a factor of the car moving forward. They've done so little running before the season starts. It's effectively the first time for Hamilton to drive the car to such an extent in Bahrain. A couple of 100 kilometers around Fiorano is not going to give you a feel for it. With all this in mind, do you think the Ferrari is hiding a lot of speed in the SF-25? And more importantly, who do you think will win as the biggest winner from the 3-day testing in Bahrain? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to check out the video that's appearing on your screen right now.